Hi and welcome to today's demonstration. My name is Lee Green from FileBound Australia and I'll be taking you through the FileBound's new integration with the PC School administration software. FileBound Australia has partnered with PC Schools to deliver a seamless integration of accounts payable data between FileBound and PC Schools. So let's begin. Here I have my FileBound platform configured and ready for the PC School environment. You'll see a collection of projects here for our creditor invoices, line items and ledger batches. So we'll be processing invoices in PC School and we'll also be taking out ledger batch information too. So here I have 4 sample invoices I'm going to capture and migrate to FileBound. I'm going to extract the header information from these particular invoices of who the supplier is, the invoice number, date, total, etc. So invoices can be processed into FileBound by means of your multifunction device scanning, and also if they come in by email address you can save the attachment into a particular hot folder where the capture platform will pick up these particular files, process them through the business rules and migrate them out to FileBound. Once they hit FileBound, they will go down a particular accounts payable workflow for approval. Okay, now that these files have been processed, they were residing in FileBound. Here we can see the 4 invoices that I scanned and processed, and they now come into our particular workflow and given a status of new invoice. Here we are going to digitally route the invoice around the organisation to complete the particular workflow task required. We will then perform some PC School integration and generate a batch as well, where we are going to confirm the batch letter, the ledger batch as well. So over on our assignments window you can see we have a workflow task for black and white hardware, and we can open this one up. So once our FileBound web viewer is open, we can see we have the metadata over on the left hand side, the invoice in the middle pane and the workflow actions down the bottom here. And you can see the status of the invoice is new invoice. So at this particular step I checked the PC Schools that this particular vendor can be paid, and we move it on to be ready for GL coding. And what I've also done within this particular workflow step is set a reminder that we need to set the ledger project. So I can set the ledger project here, and the ledger project is synced with your PC Schools software and it will show your list here and the projects within your organisation. We also add a description to this particular invoice, so we have a collection of hammers, and we save our metadata, we tick our reminder and move this on down the workflow. Now the next step of the workflow is invoice coding, and you can see this here also that my status is ready for coding. Within the FileBound viewer we have the tabs down the bottom, and one of these is the line item tab. So when we open this up we have one line item ready for coding, and what we have done is we have synced the PC Schools GL account list into a nice and friendly drop down list where you can see all of your accounts for your organisation and you can select per which one you need for each line item. So here I have some gardening tools, so I'm going to select gardening maintenance and materials, and we can complete our amount and save. So we don't need to complete the account or sub-account or the GST code or entity. We've done this actually through the workflow. So if we go back over to our workflow tab, we can see that the GL name provided and update GL details. So once I click this particular one, you'll see that the workflow has moved on for review, and I can see that my line items have also automatically populated with the account and sub-account and the GST code and the entity. So these are refreshed nightly between your PC School administration software and FileBound, and this provides a nice user interface for the end user to complete their task. So you can see this, my status here is invoice review pending, So I'm happy with this particular invoice and I'm going to send it off ready for PC School's integration. So this one here, the status has changed for ready for PC School. So behind the scenes, the integration platform will pick up this particular invoice metadata and it will send the data over to PC School and ingest it. Okay, now that the integration is complete, we can go back into our search results. And you can see here that we have one invoices, which is our black and white hardware, with the status of export complete, PC School review. So what we can do is we can take our invoice number, 1567, and we can go over to PC School and check the invoice. So we go to creditors, we can look up our creditor black and white hardware, we can select the invoice, hammers, and you can see here that we've ingested the header information and also the line item information as well. So I haven't had to double entry at all. Okay, so a bit further into the integration, we've developed a FileBound button with PC School, which when clicked takes the invoice number and searches the invoice in FileBound. So I can bring up the creditor in the invoice, and if I click the FileBound button, and this will go perform a search within FileBound where I can open up my invoice for black and white hardware. And there's my particular invoice. So as I mentioned, nice seamless integration between FileBound and PC School to not only put data into PC Schools, but also open an invoice from inside PC Schools as well. So I can confirm this invoice here. And as you can see, the status of this document is now Business Manager Review. So over in PC Schools, we can actually start creating our batches. So this particular invoice went into batch 34. And here it is here. So I'm going to finalize this batch. Okay, now I'm going to print this batch that we just finalized. And we're going to process this through the capture platform. Now the capture platform is going to extract the batch date, the period, the total, and also the batch number. And the reason we're doing this is we're actually going to finalize all the invoices that pertain to this particular ledger batch. And this will be done through the FileBound workflow as well. Okay, now that this batch has been processed through our capture platform, we can go back over to FileBound. And you will see here that we have a new assignment here, batch approval process. Batch 34. And the first step in our workflow is that the accounts review this particular batch. So we make sure that all the metadata is correct and being captured. And that we're happy with this particular batch. Once we are ready to move this on down the workflow, we send off to the business manager. And here we'll receive an assignment task for this as well. During the whole workflow process, we also add notes here, which is a timeline of events for the workflow. So it gives a nice visual representation for the user to see what's happened with the document. So in this particular workflow step, for the business manager, they would review this particular batch as well, and they would confirm that they're happy as well. And once they move it on for batch approval, it'll head back to the accounts department for them to actually finalize this particular batch. And you can see here that this particular workflow step is ready to be finalized. So I can simply click my workflow icon here for the batch to be finalized. What the FileBound system will do, it will go over to the invoices project and it will update all of the invoices pertaining to batch 34. So if we head back over to FileBound, and do a search on our creditor invoices, you'll see here that this particular invoice status is now changed to invoice finalized under batch 34. So this demonstrates the seamless integration that we have developed in conjunction with PC School to handle the accounts payable data. Thank you for watching today. If you have any inquiries, please email us on sales@filebound.com.au. Thank you.